Hi there, it's Nikki again. Today we are going to be making this monogram snap tab key fob. After my video on the no bullying snap tab, I did have a couple requests for this particular style, and this one is also by Dejah Vue Designs. So what you're going to need will be some type of vinyl. What I chose was this upholstery weight glitter vinyl. You can either use that, or there is a product called glitter canvas. Let me show you the difference here. This is glitter canvas, so it's got a smooth top, just like this glitter vinyl does, and hopefully you can see the difference here, but the glitter vinyl is a lot thicker than the glitter canvas. It's about twice as thick. Or you can use felt, but what I found was that using acrylic felt, it doesn't wear very well. So if you do really want to use felt, I would recommend using a wool blend. It wears a lot better and it'll look a lot nicer. In addition to that, you'll need a second color of vinyl. This is a great opportunity to use up scraps. For stitching these vinyl key fobs, what I was finding was that when I stitched them with vinyl on both sides, the stitch quality was not very good, and sometimes I would have little loops on the back of the stitching on the back of the key fob. So what was suggested to me was to use a leather needle. So this isn't even necessarily an embroidery needle. It's by Schmetz. Here's the package. And it's a leather needle. So I found that that works a whole lot better. Then for the top of the key fob, you'll want to choose between either a key ring or one of these lobster clasps. And the inside diameter on this is 1 inch. See, it just opens like that. And then for the top, you will want a snap. And I use cam snaps, brands KAM, and I'll put a link below this video for the snaps and all the other supplies in the video. And then here is the pliers that is used for that. If you are using 2 thicker vinyl pieces on both sides of your key fob, you will need to use a long prong snap. So this is the prong right here, and it's longer than the standard one. The one disadvantage is these only come in black and white, and occasionally they release other colors too. So you'll want to keep that in mind when you're choosing the colors for your design. Another thing I use is water-soluble stabilizer over the monogram. I find that the vinyl, the stitches kind of sink into it and don't look as nice, so I use this on top and it works a lot better. And then of course you want your usual embroidery thread and medium weight tearaway stabilizer. So let's get started. I have the design already loaded on my machine, and we will be doing the placement stitch. So now we have our placement stitch. We're going to take our piece of vinyl and lay it right over that stitch, and just look around and make sure that the entire placement stitch is covered with the vinyl. And then at this point I will take a couple pieces of Scotch tape just to hold the vinyl in place so it does not shift. And then we will do our second step. And that will be the placement for the second piece of vinyl. Now that we have that stitch in place, you'll take your second piece of vinyl and lay that over the stitching line, and that is going to stitch this piece down. Okay, so that's been stitched into place. At this time you can either trim away the excess vinyl, or you can wait until after the next step. I choose to wait and wait until the next step, so I minimize the amount of times that I take this out of this hoop off the machine. So the next step is the monogram. And when you do the monogram, just lay your piece of water-soluble stabilizer right over the top. Okay, so now we have stitched our monogram, so you can take the hoop off the machine. And here's what it looks like. So our first step is going to be, let me make sure it's on camera here, to cut off the excess stabilizer. We don't need that, so we're just going to remove it. And we will wash off this remaining stabilizer after the project is completed. And to do that, you just run it under water, and after about a minute, it all is gone, and you just wipe it off, and that's it. So there's that. So our next step is going to be to cut the excess vinyl here. So I will cut that off, and then I will be moving to the back here and putting my gray vinyl on the back and stitching the next step. So okay, so here is what it looks like after this has all been trimmed. And then here's the back with the vinyl taped on there. So we're going to put it back on our machine. And if you would like to have contrasting stitching on the main portion, you will want to change your thread. I think it looks really nice when you use the color of the main keychain, that thread on the inner part, and then the color of the inner part on the outside of the keychain, if that makes sense. I think it looks really nice, but you could certainly just use the same color throughout, and that would look good as well. So let's get this threaded and sew our final stitch. So here it is, all done. It's ready to take off the machine and remove from the hoop. And it's stitched out real nicely on both sides. So let's go ahead and remove it. And then at this time, just tear your stabilizer away, just like any other project. And then our next step will be to cut this thing out. Okay, and here we go. It's all torn away from the stabilizer, and I've clipped the little threads. So now we need to cut it out. This is a little tricky. Since we have this little quatrefoil shape, it's not a matter of just cutting out a square. So I'll show you what I do. As you can see, I am using a large sewing scissors. I find that if I have more blade to cut, I only have to squeeze it together once and get a whole bunch of it cut, if that makes sense. I find if I have to make a bunch of little cuts like this, that the edge isn't as smooth. So I recommend practicing and finding the method that works best for you, and don't panic if your first few don't look perfect. Alright, so here's what I do. I start right on one of the outer corners and just slowly move my scissors. And it's best to move the project rather than your scissors. Then when you get to this point, be very careful, don't go too far and cut through your stitching, and then leave the scissors in there, pivot up, and then go up the side here. And again, just very carefully try to make sure that you're cutting the same distance from the stitching all the way around. It's hard to go back and trim. It just doesn't seem to look very good, at least for me when I do that. So we're going to pivot again and cut around that corner just like this, all the way around. And then when you get to the outer corner, you can get rid of the excess and then do it again. Just very smoothly, very slowly. Like that. And then once more. See, it doesn't actually take too long, even when you take your time. And there you have it. It's all been cut out. So I'll wash off the stabilizer later, but here it is on the back too. So your next step is going to be to insert a snap. If you don't want to use a snap, you can use a rivet. If you're not sure what that is, if you look at the pair of jeans that you might be wearing right now, you'll see little metal round things by the pockets. Those are rivets. So if you happen to have those, they sell those at craft stores. The only downside to cam snaps is that they're only available online, so you have to plan ahead a little bit, but they're by far the most popular snaps, and they're very good quality and not too expensive either. So anyhow, just center your little awl and make sure your fingers are not in the way of it on the other side. Poke your hole, and then do the same thing up here. And there you go. Then take one of your snaps, put it right through the front, then take the other side, put it on there, and you're just going to put it in the tool and squeeze. Now if I went too fast for you, I will post a link under this video to a more detailed tutorial on how to use these snaps, but they really are simple. Alright, so then you just do the same thing on the bottom, but with the female end of the snap. Put it in the tool and squeeze. And there you go. So take your lobster clasp or key ring, put it on there and snap. All done. See, it actually isn't too difficult. So if you have any questions, if I went over something too quickly, or you just have any other question, just put in the comments below. I'll answer it as quickly as I can. If you have any other requests for videos, let me know. If you liked the video, please click like. And if you really like the video a lot and want to see more, I'd love it if you subscribe. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.